Hello, students. This is Amarati, your tribology teacher, and welcome back to a new video lecture on your tribology. Well, in the last video lecture, we completed your introduction part to friction, laws of friction, and what are the different types, and we classified it based on the relative motion, relative type, status of relative motion, type of relative motion, based on the lubrication between contacting surfaces. Okay. So, in today's video lecture, we are going to see and also we completed the causes of friction. Okay, so in today's video lecture we'll start your theories of friction. Well, different theories of friction proposed to explain the phenomenon of friction. To know how friction phenomenon works, we have different theories. Well, we have five theories. First one is Coulomb's theory of interlocking, or we can call it as a mechanical theory of interlocking also. Tomlinson's theory of molecular attraction, Bowden and Tabor's theory of simple adhesion. Fourth one is modified adhesion or junction growth theory, and fifth one deformation theory. Well, we will see it one by one. Well, first comes is your Coulomb's theory of interlocking. Well, the phenomenon of friction was firstly initially given by Coulomb itself. Well, we know that according to Coulomb, the friction is due to the interlocking of the asperities of two contacting surfaces. As I said, on the surfaces we have many asperities. If those asperities are interlocked, then we are going to have the friction. Well, this is said by Coulomb. And he also argued that the frictional force is the tangential force which is required for lifting the load over the slope or hills of the asperities against the gravity. As we know, asperities has the different surfaces, like we have a pitches and we have hills, we have depths also. So this frictional force is the tangential force which is required for lifting the load over the hills of the asperities, and this is against the gravity. Well, this is accepted by everyone, but we have some limitations of the Coulomb's theory. Okay, well, this interlocking was not accepted because of some reasons and some limitations. According to this theory, rougher the surface, greater is the friction, and smoother the surface, lower is the friction. This is true actually for relatively rough surfaces. According to this theory, two extremely smooth surfaces in contact should have very low friction. But it is observed that extremely smooth surfaces like gauge blocks, they may be gauge blocks or glasses, they are going to adhere very strongly, and they are going to offer high frictional resistance while sliding. Okay, so if it is so, it is going to adhere strongly and frictional resistance is high, then his statement that the smoother surfaces have lower friction is going to be wrongly proven. Okay, and we have a figure here also, that is 2.5.1, shows the effect of surface roughness on the coefficient of friction. And also the second limitation of the Coulomb's theory of interlocking is, if the friction is only due to the lifting of load over the hills of the asperities against the gravity, there can be no frictional force. This is because if there is lifting of load over the hills of the asperities, as at some parts there is sliding in the valleys also. Okay, sliding in the valleys of roughness at other parts, and hence there is no net increase in elevation of the moving body. Well, you can see here we have an effect of surface roughness of coefficient of friction. Well, as coefficient of friction increases on the y-axis and surface roughness increases on x-axis. Initially, we can see we have a high frictional force, and then it is going to change with the lower side. Then it is going to increases at higher speed. Okay, so this is about Coulomb's theory of interlocking. Well, second comes is your Tomlinson's theory of molecular attraction. So what it is going to say, according to Tomlinson's theory, the dry friction is due to molecular attraction between the molecules of two contacting surfaces. As we have two contacting surfaces, The molecules of these contacting surfaces, if they are they have attraction between each other, then dry friction occurs. Well, there are certain attractive and repulsive forces existing between the molecules of the contacting surfaces. We know this one. Tomlinson's theory also states that the field of molecular attraction is going to extend to a distance of several diameters from the center of the molecule. Okay, center of the molecule, we have a attraction between the molecules, but the field of molecular repulsion extends to much shorter distance than the attraction. Repulsion is lower, attraction is higher. Okay, so when the molecules of the two contacting surfaces are within certain distance, molecular attraction and repulsion are in equilibrium, and it is going to zero with each other. Okay, but however the distance between the two molecules increases, the molecular repulsion reduces to zero, while the molecular attraction still exists, but it is going to be lower, but it is not going to be zero. So this molecular attraction produces the friction between the two contacting surfaces. Well, the only limitation of Tomlinson's theory of molecular attraction is this theory does not explain many aspects of friction, and if it is not explains many aspects of friction, and it is not in use also. Okay, so third comes is your Bowden and Tabor's theory of simple adhesion. Well, the name itself indicates in these theories that it is based on the simple adhesion. According to Bowden and Tabor's theory, when two surfaces are pressed together, you can see it in the figure 2.5.2. The contact occurs at the asperities on the two contacting surfaces, not on the hole. The contact only occurs at the asperities. Okay, and we know the real area of contact is very small compared to apparent or gross area. Hence, the pressure at the point of real contact is extremely high, and due to this high pressure, the tips of the softer material is going to deform plastically, and plastic flow causes the real area of contact to grow much higher than the initial one. The process of growth of this real area of contact continues until the area is sufficiently support the load elastically. Once it is going to reach plastically, it is going to grow. So this growth of real area of contact is takes place by two ways: by the growth of the individual contact areas and by the initiation of new contacts. If individual contact areas grows, the growth of real area contact increases. If we have a new contacts, then we are going to have a growth of real area. So we must estimate the coefficient of friction due to adhesion. Okay, well, estimation of coefficient of friction due to adhesion can be termed as fa, small fa. Okay, well, you can see it in this figure, the second one. We have a block, we have a weight on that one, and we have a tangential force fa. That is a schematic representation of the contact. So you can see here at the areas of plastic deformation, the pressure is so high that the contacting surfaces get cold welded. Okay, cold welded. If the surfaces are to be tangentially moved in the opposite direction, the force is required to cause the shear failure of the cold welded joints or junctions, and this is known as frictional force Fa. So we have to find out the coefficient of friction due to adhesion. So normal load between contacting surfaces, that is W equal to SYC into A, where SYC is a compressive yield strength of the softer material, and that is in Newton per mm square, and A is the real area of contact in mm square. Okay, and W is the normal load in Newton. Fa, as I said, frictional force due to adhesion in Newton. That is what we are finding here, and we have to define the shear strength of the cold welded junction is Sj, that is the shear strength, and that is having the equation K into Say, where K is the ratio of shear strength of cold welded junction to the yield strength in shear of the softer material, Sj divided by Ssy, where Ssy is the yield strength in shear of the softer material. Okay, and here we have to note that the value of K is always less than 1, because it is a ratio of shear strength of cold welded junction and shear strength of softer material. And if we write the equation, that is Fa, the frictional force, is Ksy into A, where Ksy we substituted because shear force what is that, Fa equal to Sj into A, where Sj is K into Ssy. Okay, so the coefficient of friction due to adhesion, Fa, the smaller a, is the Fa divided by W, the weight. Fa is the coefficient of friction divided by W, the weight. And if I substitute Fa equal to Ks Sy into A and W equal to Syc into A, where A gets cancelled, you can see the equation D, where A get cancelled, and finally we have a coefficient of friction due to adhesion, Fa equal to Ksy and divided by Syc. And for the most ductile materials, Sy equal to half of the Syt and Syc equal to 1.5 times the Syt. This is for the ductile materials actually. So if I substitute the equation E in equation D, we get Fa equal to K into Sy is replaced in St is 0.5 into Syt, yield strength, and Syc is 1.5 times the Syt. So if I divide that one, the calculation has gone more. So Fa equal to 0.333 K, where K is the ratio, and for K equal to 0.5, equation F becomes, if I multiply, just substitute K equal to 0.5, Fa equal to 0.1667. So we found out the coefficient of friction due to adhesion. Okay, that is 0.1667. Along with that, we have some limitations of Bowden and Tabor's theory of simple adhesion also. While Bowden and Tabor's theory appears simple, but suffers from some limitations also. What are they? According to this theory, the coefficient of friction depends only upon the properties of the softer material and is independent of the other material. It shouldn't go like this, because if we are explaining a process of friction, both the softer and harder material properties must be considered, but here they are considered only the properties of the softer material. However, in actual practice, the coefficient of friction depends upon both the materials, right? So second limitation is, according to this theory again, the real area of contact depends only upon the normal load W, and it is independent of frictional force. But in reality, the area of contact depends both combined effect of the normal load and frictional force. Yes, it is, of course, we have to, of course, it is the combined effect of load and frictional force. But this theory is only concentrated main on the load W, and this is that the frictional force is completely independent of frictional force WA. And the third limitation is, this theory underestimates the coefficient of friction actually. The actual coefficient of friction is much higher than that of predicted by this theory. Well, if you see in a real-time environment or experimentally, the coefficient of friction is higher than the predicted by this theory. Why? Because they consider only W and they didn't consider the independent considered the Fa, normal force. Well, this is about the theory. And the fourth one is modified adhesion theory. Well, it is also called as junction growth theory. Well, the name itself indicates there is a growth of junction. And why we have a new theory, that is modified adhesion theory. Well, the last one is also explains about the adhesion, but it is a modified adhesion theory. While the drawbacks of Bowden and Tabor's theory of simple adhesion has led to the development of this modified adhesion theory. Well, this theory considers as they haven't considered Fa, the effect of Fa frictional force. So this theory considered the combined effect of the normal load W and frictional force Fa for the growth of real area of contact. So even if the normal load W remains constant, the real area of contact grows with the frictional force Fa. So this phenomenon is known as junction growth. So here also we have to find out the coefficient of friction due to adhesion, because here they considered the frictional force also. So we see, as we know, W is the normal load in Newton, Fa is the frictional force due to adhesion, and A is the real area of contact, Syc is the compressive yield strength of softer material, Sy is the yield strength in shear of the softer material, Sj is equal to shear strength of the cold welded junction, and that is the K into Ssy. Okay, where K is the ratio of shear strength of cold welded junction to the yield strength in shear of the softer material, Sj divided by Ssy. Okay, so maximum frictional force due to adhesion is Fa equal to Ssj into A, and we have to define the compressive strength induced at real area of contact. Simple, sigma C equal to W by A, weight by area, where shear stress induced at real area of contact is tau equal to force by area, Fa divided by Fa. We have to define the stress and strain here. So stress and shear stress here. Okay, so maximum shear stress induced at a real area of contact. According to maximum shear stress theory, we have tau max equal to square root of sigma C divided by 2, half of the sigma C whole square plus shear stress square, right? So if I substitute the equation I and J in equation K, we are going to get tau max equal to square root of W by 2A whole square plus, because sigma is W by A, W by 2A whole square plus Fa by A whole square. Now we can substitute tau max equal to Ssy or tau max equal to Syc by 2. Well, in the normal load, if I substitute Syc divided by 2, where in the place of tau max, from equation I, L and M, Syc divided by 2 equal to square root of W by 2A whole square plus Fa divided by A whole square. If I square root on the both, if I squared on the both side, Syc divided by 2 whole square equal to W by 2A whole square plus Fa by A whole square, and if I take W by 2A whole square on this side, Syc by 2 whole square minus Fa divided by A whole square. If I take 2A on the other side, W square equal to Syca into whole square minus 4Fa whole square, or W equal to square root of Syca into whole square minus 4Fa whole square. So I need to find out the coefficient of friction due to adhesion. Okay, because I have the value of W, I wanted to find out the value of W, because Fa equal to Fa divided by W. Fa is the coefficient of friction, the small Fa equal to capital Fa divided by W. And if I substitute the value of W is the square root of Syca whole square minus 4Fa whole square. If I simplify it, we have Fa, the small Fa equal to 1 by square root of Syca divided by Fa whole square minus 4. And if I go more, if I substitute Syc equal to 2Sy and Fa equal to Sj into A, so I am going to get the equation finally, okay, finally 1 by square root of 4 into 1 by k whole square minus 1. Or simplify it more, I am going to get fa equal to k by square root of 4 into 1 minus k whole 1 minus k square. If I substitute the value of k equal to 0.5, f equal to 0.5 divided by square root of 4 into 1 minus 0.5 square. So the value of f equal to 0.2886 finally. So it is important to note that if a film of material of low shear strength, that is the lubricant, is introduced between the two surfaces, then the value of k and hence the coefficient of friction due to adhesion fa can be reduced. Okay, fa can be reduced. So this is about modified adhesion or junction growth theory. Well, your final theory is deformation theory. Well, according to deformation theory, when one of the two surfaces in sliding contact is harder than the other, the asperities on the harder surface and entrapped wear particles is going to penetrate and it is going to flow into the softer surface, not the harder surface, okay, softer surface, as it is shown in the figure 2.5.5. we have a plowing. During sliding or plowing, only the front surfaces of the asperities comes into contact with the softer body, and normal load W is supported by the horizontal projection of the asperities contact areas AH and the frictional force FD, and it is supported by the vertical projection of the asperities contact area AV. You can see it in the figure. So here also we have to estimate the coefficient of friction due to deformation, and that is FD. Well, the normal load and frictional force we have to define, that is normal load is W equal to SYC into AH, where W is the normal load, SYC is the compressive yield strength of the softer material, AH is the horizontal projection of contact area in mm square, and frictional force FD equal to SYC into AV, where simply changes vertical projection. AV is the vertical projection of the contact area. The coefficient of friction due to deformation or plowing FD equal to FD, that is capital FD divided by W, force by load, where FD is SYC into AV and W is SYC into AH, where SY cancels. FD, smaller FD equal to AV divided by AH, vertical divided by horizontal projection contact areas. If you have a conical asperities, as it is shown in the 2.5.5, AV, the vertical projection contact area, equal to half of 2R into L. What is 2R? 2R is the where L is the length and 2R is the dimension of the conical asperities. So if we simplify it, AV equal to R into L, okay, radius into length, and AH is the half pi R square. If I substitute this in FD equal to AV by AH, where AV is RL divided by half pi R square. So finally I am going to get the FD equation as 2L divided by pi R. But FD, we can also write it as 2 by pi cot alpha. Cot alpha. What is the meaning of this one is FD is directly proportional to cot alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is the semi-cone angle of the conical asperity. Well, you can see it in the figure, semi-cone angle of the conical asperity. For larger semi-cone angle alpha, the coefficient of friction due to deformation or plowing FD is very small. So in such case, the coefficient of friction due to deformation can be neglected because it is very small. For smaller cone angle alpha, the coefficient of friction due to deformation FD is large. So in case of abrasive material, semi-cone angle alpha is very small, and hence coefficient of friction due to deformation is very large. Okay, so this is about your theories of friction. We had Coulomb's theory of friction, we had Tomlinson's theory of friction, then we have Bowden and Tabor's theory of friction, then modified adhesion theory, and finally we had deformation theory. Okay, so in next video lecture, I am going to start your well, the friction part is over in this lecture. In the second one, I am going to start the wearing out of the material, the introduction to wear, what are the classifications of wear, what are the causes of wear. Okay, so thank you very much.